Afternoon, everybody. Afternoon, Chris. Lovely warm.
Hi, John. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Lovely and warm and sunny in Evesham today. It was absolutely miserable yesterday, and my heating came on. But hey-ho, there we go. So we're with Chris again, and his Avon Tiger build. So yeah, you're cracking on, Chris, aren't you? Do you want to have a quick chat about where you are with it, what you've been doing last week, which the video I think was released yesterday. Tell us about that and tell us where you're going with it. And you can also tell us about Newark, which is coming up.
Yeah, right. So been really busy with the car. As you know, I'm working on it pretty much full time, which is quite a luxury. So I've got I'm probably 2 or 3 episodes ahead of what you've seen online at the moment. The engine's now built. I'm just doing the dashboard at the moment. Engine should be in tomorrow. So yeah, things are coming together quickly.
Engine's going in tomorrow, is it? Wow, can't wait to see that.
Yeah. So my plan is, as we've discussed, I want to get the car to Newark so that people can actually see it in the flesh rather than just seeing it online. And I'd like to get it. I can't get it complete. There's no way I can get it that far. But if I can get it comfortable that somebody can sit in it and actually say, okay, I'm a tall guy, it fits and I can see everything. And that's one of the big premise of the build, as you know, is to try and make it this little tiny car fit somebody quite big.
So if you've got any larger gents or taller gents, because you've got what, size 11 feet, I think.
That's right. 11?
Yeah. So if anybody at Newark wants to see if they can fit in a Tiger, go and see Chris. Chris is your man.
And I can show you what you need to do. Now, please don't think this is a criticism of Tigers, because it's not.
Absolutely not. Everyone will fit in a Tiger. Everyone will fit in a Tiger. If you've got size 11 feet, it might be tight on the pedal space. That's all I was saying.
It might be a bit more work, yeah. But I mean, when I was discussing this with somebody today, that when the Lotus 7 design first came out in the 1950s, most people were about 5'6", 5'7", maybe 5'8", and about 10 or 11 stone. That was just the norm.
It was built for Colin Chapman, and he was a small chap.
Yeah. And to be honest, if you look at the dynamics of a light car, you need a light driver as well. That's how it works. It's a balanced package. Yeah. You don't want to put a lumping great thing my size in a little 500 kilo sports car. It doesn't work properly. But I want to come and play as well. Why should all you little guys have the fun? I want to come and join in. Yeah.
Because I see on a lot of the forums, I'm not going to name the marks or anything like that, but there's a lot of, I'm 6 foot this and I'm this many stone. Will I fit in this particular car? And I keep telling them, it depends how you set your seats up. It depends how you set your pedal. Do you go top mount? Do you go bottom mount? Do you have adjustable pedals, or do you bolt the seats to the floor? Do you have big comfy seats, or do you have? Ours have got really thin fiberglass, absolutely minimal. In an air car, I'm 6 foot, long leg. I've actually got the seat pulled forward about an inch and a bit. So, I did it absolutely no problem. I mean, there are cars out there that are, like the Raptor is probably one of the bigger ones. And that's, I don't think Andy Entwistle is up in Scotland. He won't be at Newark, but he's a really tall chap. He's 7 foot or something ridiculous. He's really, really good. Yeah, he's absolutely massive. There's some great pictures I've got somewhere of him trying to get into a normal size 7. He couldn't even get his legs in. And that is why
this is where Richard Stewart really thought this thing through when he designed Robin Hood, because he made it to fit a 6'4", 6'5" inch guy with the Sierra seats in it. So if you took the Sierra seats out, you could probably be 7 foot and still get in it comfortably. So it didn't. I mean, it was proportionally, it was very different to a traditional, an original Lotus 7. But from a practical point of view, from a modern population, it was a very nice piece of engineering.
Yeah, and they're great car. Well, they're built to a budget, which is what I keep telling people. They were built to a budget. It used to be, I think, about 2,000 quid. You can get yourself a 7 on the road, and great handling cars. Yeah.
I mean, I've built, I think, about 10 Robin Hoods over the course of the years. And one of the things I did have to do, I hope you won't mind me saying this, but the front suspension location points were sometimes, the tolerances were not as great as they could have been. So if you pull them back in and readjust everything and re-drill a few holes, you can get them to handle really, really well.
They say, because we've got some fellow members that we've done interviews with as well. And it was also the rear suspension. It was kind of like, well, chuck it on and wherever it is, wherever it fits, just drill it and go for it. But A lot of them spent a lot of time getting it actually aligned properly before they actually did anything. It's a car that you built.
Yeah, I've driven it before and after as well, because I've deliberately done it on one occasion, just literally put it together as it came out of the factory, and did some test miles in it, and then pulled it back in and then readjusted everything. And you cannot believe the difference. It was chalk and cheese, really was. Suddenly everything turned in properly. There was no pull, there was no judder under braking. Everything just felt like a proper sports car.
Like it should do, yeah. And this is what I say about modern cars. When people are getting into them, they say, "Well, should I buy a Robin Hood or should I buy this?" But you know, if you go down the manufacturers that are around at the minute, A, you know you're going to get spare parts. B, you don't have to go rummaging. Well, we haven't got scrapyards these days, but you don't have to go rummage around for second-hand bits to refurbish and put them on. You can get them all from the current manufacturers. It's all pretty much all brand new stuff. It's the same with GBS. All of their stuff is built in house now. You know, virtually the whole car.
And it's beautiful. It's beautifully made. I mean, I've been to GBS a couple of times, and I really like their work. They're doing everything properly, but it comes at a cost penalty.
Absolutely.
You can't build a GBS for £3,000. You know, if you're going to build a nice one, you're going to be in for probably 10. And you're going to get a lovely car. You're going to get 10 grand worth of car from it. So again, it's not a criticism, because they're a lovely car. But it depends which part of the conversation. Do you want clean, neat, and easy? In which case you're going
to pay them. And it literally is like a Meccano kit, bolt it on.
Exactly, and everything works. Or do you want to do it on, because you've got 4 kids and a mortgage and a single lockup, and you've got to do it all on a shoestring? Then you're going to have to do all the dirty work yourself, and you're going to have to learn an awful lot along the way. And don't expect it to be simple, because it won't be.
Exactly, because you're lucky. I mean, you've got a lovely workshop, but you've got a lot. You know, you've got a lot of experience as well. You know, you've built over 100 cars, but you've got like welding equipment. You can fab brackets up, you can move stuff around. So if you've not got those skills, you're going to have to go the Meccano route. Don't try and otherwise it'll just end up a car that's lost, and you'll never finish
another unfinished project. And it's a really difficult one to be honest with people. I've got an awful lot of previous customers have approached me where they tried building the car and they've got 4 years into it and it's just stopped because they haven't got either the skills or the equipment. And then I start quoting them figures for me to finish the car off, and they're saying, "Oh, well, the manufacturer said I could build it for 1,500 quid, you know, with a spanner and a Black and Decker workmate." I said, that was 1980s when the truth was in short supply.
I think most manufacturers now are obviously a lot more genuine. They'll give you genuine. This is the number of hours you'll need, and the majority of the kits these days, you don't need any specialist equipment. You don't need to be able to weld. I mean, it's nice if you can, or if you want to change things. If you want to just go with a stock car as it comes out from the factory, just bolt it together and away you go. It's a bit like the Caterhams, really. The Caterhams are the same.
Caterhams and Westfields, you know, really well developed. They've kept it simple and the same for a long time, so production makes sense. They've not tried to go left field and fit, you know, God knows what engines in it. They've just kept it the same. But if I was to consider labor hours in the Avon that I'm building now and cost that in, it would be a very different number. As you know, the whole idea that there's 2 premises behind this build is to try and build the whole car for £2,000 and make it work for that, and the second one is to try and fit me inside it. Both of which are fairly big compromises, but I know it's unrealistic for an awful lot of people because they haven't got the workshops, the equipment, and the experience that I've got. But it's still an interesting challenge to do, just for the challenge sake.
Because I think you said you're into it for about £2,000, and you've got everything now you need to finish it. So obviously you're and you can fabricate brackets, because you've done quite a few changes, obviously, to make sure that you're going to fit in it. But you're going to mock up a dash as well. I saw you've done that in fibre, whatever it was, and cardboard. So I'd be interested to see that. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to lay fiberglass or carbon?
No. I won't reveal too many details because I'll spoil the surprise. But it's all going to be it's all going to be hand fabricated stuff. The big problem I've got is the The actual dash panel on the Avon is only 9-10 inches deep. There's not much of it.
Yeah, it fits the Tiger clock. So we did an interview with Jake McGee, and he did. I specifically asked him for the sweep of his dash. It fits the Tiger clocks, which I do like those because they are Tiger branded. Look,
yes,
and they're like yellow on black and red.
They look lovely.
They do look great, and they fit perfectly. But
if the budget was allowed,
you would have gone for that. Yeah. But your clocks are bigger, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got a set. I managed to find a complete Triumph Dolomite dashboard for 50 quid. The whole thing, all the gauges, all the wiring, everything. Now, I can't buy one fuel gauge for that if I went for new stuff. So by doing it this way around, my compromise is, okay, I've saved the money. Now I've got to make it fit in the gap. Exactly. And also, because I've had to move the steering wheel up quite a long way, most of the area which you would normally use on the dashboard for your major instruments, I can't see because the steering wheel spokes are in the way.
Yeah.
So I'm finding ways round. And what I'm going to do is, it's different, but it's not beyond the scope of somebody that's fairly keen and wants to spend a few hours doing it. And it puts the main dials behind the steering wheel, but in a position where I can actually see them. So it's going to be a fairly eye-opening thing at Newark. People are going to look at it and think, "Oh, hang on, what's he done there?" This is very different from everything else. So it'll be a conversation starter.
You've gone for the asymmetric look as well, because the actual bubble bits aren't the same each side. And a couple of people have already commented on that; they really like it.
I love the 1930s Bugatti style, where you get a lump for the driver and you get a little tiny vestigial screen for the passenger. And I think
it's like a token little bubble for them. And
if you're going racing and you've got one person in it most of the time, what happens over there is, it's not really that important. It's what happens here. That's the big deal. And when I tried making both humps the same size, the one behind the steering wheel and the one on the passenger side, it really reduced the vision over to the near side front wheel. So I'm thinking, if I want to try and really place this car millimetre perfect going into a corner, this is a big deal. So it needs to come right the way down and get out the vision line so that it doesn't interrupt anything there.
You just raised a very good point in that, because I know when I'm in my car, I can't see. You're right. I've got the same size fly screen each side. You're right. I can't see the front left. I can just about see the top of the mudguard. Whereas the driver's side, because I'm that far further over, I can see the whole wheel. But the left-hand side, you're right. All I can see is the top of the mudguard. Yeah.
So everything is considered, rather than just, I want to make it look like that. Why do I want to make it look like that? And I like looking back at why people did things, and rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. You've seen my little blue NGTC V8. When I drive that now, it sounds so corny, but I wear string back gloves because they give you a good grip on the steering wheel. I wear a flat cap because it acts as a sun visor. And I wear a flying jacket because it keeps you warm. So all this stuff
I've seen some pictures of you all kitted up.
And it sounds really corny, like you're just posing to try and make it look like you're doing the right thing. But actually, every facet of it, when you've done it a little while, you realise it's there for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not just you posing; it's actually very practical.
And I can drive the thing 2 or 3 hours when I'm wrapped up properly. And I've really cheated with that. A lot of people just use a cloth style flying helmet, but they don't have a sun visor. And when you start driving towards the sun during the winter once, that's difficult one. What I've done is I've got half a cloth flying helmet, chopped the bottom arm off and stitched it onto a flat cap. So I've now got a flat cap with ear flaps and a chin strap. So I can stop the flat cap blowing off and I can stop the wind blowing in my ears.
Absolutely.
So it's all about purpose.
You'll have to bring it all to Newark and get dressed up in it and just sit in your car and make rumbling noises.
I'll look a complete plonker.
So are you looking, because you're going to be at Newark for both days now with your car, aren't you? If anybody wants to see the car and ask questions and talk to you about,
and I hope they do. That's the whole point of taking it there, is start the conversation, get people's opinion on it, get their feedback. A lot of people are going to like the dash. Some of them are going to hate it because it's not standard fare. and there's various little bits and pieces and details inside. If somebody can take home one little tip and think, oh, I'll do that, it's all been
Yeah.
worthwhile.
The biggest one I've took in mind is the way you've done your handbrake, because that is now buried in the tunnel. I mean, you can't. Yours is independent rear suspension, so the prop shaft ain't going to move, so you can do it. Ours is the same, but our handbrakes does stick up a bit, and you do bang your elbows on it. And it's you know, I'm quite skinny, but even I still will catch my elbow on it, even when the lever's down. Certainly when it's up. Not that you're doing much.
And I'm going to have to sit on the. I'm going to have to sit on the floor, so I'm going to be even lower than most people because I can't fit seats in there. So it becomes even more of a problem because your elbow's obviously lower as well as your bum's lower.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the Tiger stand as well, because they're going to have a stand there, and they're announcing their or will be in the new R10.
Yes.
I think you've got a choice of the
I had a sneak preview because I was over at the factory a couple of weeks ago, and they had it sitting there. Very, very nice looking bit of kit. Very nice.
Yeah, and it's the Dion or independent rear suspension you can go for as well. Somebody did ask a question whether you can retrofit the independent to the Dion, and I've no idea. But well, we'll go. I don't know. We'll go and speak to Tiger. That's what I've said to them. I don't know. Go and speak to Tiger and see what they advise. Yeah.
Anything's possible. It's just whether it's effective. Because if you could turn the tub upside down and rejig it, yes, you can fit any suspension in any car. But to try and use existing mountings and fit a modern suspension or a different suspension system, they might have done it. I don't actually know, but I would have thought it fairly unlikely.
Yeah, you're going to need a bit of fab work, and you got to know what you're doing. You got to know it. You got to know what you're doing with anything to do with the chassis, because I know you've made some mods to yours to get you to fit. And as you already pointed out, unless you know what you're doing, don't do it. So just don't do it.
Yeah. And I've tried to reinforce that. I don't know if I reinforced it enough that actually people are going to pay attention to it. But the whole ethos of a space frame is you've got the minimum amount of weight with the minimum amount of tubes that will just do the job. You take one out, there isn't much in the way of reserve capacity anywhere. You've got to know where the loadings are going, so that you can reintroduce the strength the correct way around.
Yeah, I hope that. Well, that's reinforced it again. I mean, I certainly, I certainly picked up. It's not something I'd attempt because I haven't got the skills to do it.
But you've got to be. Not only have you got to know why you're doing it, you've then got to be able to execute that correctly. So you've got to be a good welder. You've got to be able to join two bits of metal together really nicely, not some dodgy old stick welder make it look like bird poo. This has got to be penetration welds that look, and they work properly.
And puts the structural integrity back into it. Yeah. So, guys out there, we keep saying it. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it.
No. And if you've got to buy a cheap one because that's all you could afford, maybe consider buying a BMW Z3 or something. Because you're not going to kill yourself in that. You're going to probably spend less money and still have a laugh. You can still have fun in one, and then keep saving until you can afford to buy, a reasonable quality kit that you can put together because you've only got the screwdriver and the Black & Decker workmate.
Yeah, I know, because like a BMW Z3, you pick up for $2.5 grand, but there are body kits out there as well. They do one on called Cobra, which actually looks quite convincing. They look really smart when they're finished, and completely different to something that you'll see on the road. So if your budget is really, really tight, look at something like that. If you want to go the low cost route, you know what you're doing again. If you're going to build it from scratch, and we have done videos on that. But there is a kit car out there for every type of person's budget. You just got to look.
Yeah. And rather than just grabbing something off Facebook Marketplace because it looks really cheap, sometimes they are. I mean, as like my Avon. I mean, it was an absolute bargain of the century, but it could have been an absolute pile of poo. I was very lucky that it wasn't, and I know what I'm looking at, so I could do the deal instantly without thinking, what am I let myself in for? But some of the stuff you see, the part finished stuff, you think, well, that's unfinished for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when you do see them cheap, here's my part finished kit, or here's what I'm rebuilding. Normally, if they're really, really cheap, there's a reason. So
Yeah.
you've got to know what you're doing when you're looking at cheap kit cars, especially regarding the
Very much
registration
so.
as well, because that comes up time and time again. Oh, people have posted on, here's a picture of a car I bought, and then when you look at the registration and look on the DVLA, it's still registered to the original donor. And then I feel really sorry for them, because you've got to give them their pride and joy, you know, spent whatever. And you've got to tell them, well, actually, you've got to go through IVA now because that's registered incorrectly. But we'll do a piece on that as well. But yeah, if you don't know what you're looking for, join a group and get advice from the members, and they'll steer you in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, again, things like 7Spot is the perfect forum for it. If you want to ask questions, You know, there's so much information available. There's so many people who know really what they're talking about that can help you. And the registration one should be the first question from everybody. If they're buying a kit, all you got to do is find the registration number that's on it. Go and have a look on DVLA Reg Check if you're in the UK. Yeah. And you can then see what it's registered as. And if it doesn't describe what you can see in the pictures, don't buy it.
Yeah, walk away. Unless you know what you're doing, you've got all the time and want to throw a bit of money at. Because the IBA test is what, 600 quid, which realistically you're looking at £1,000. The time you've faffed around and got bits on it, and probably more than £1,000. The time you've got it up to spec and ready for IBA. But then you need build pictures as well. They can't see. You won't get those unless you take the thing apart to get the pictures and then put it back together. So it's not. You can't. Don't get me wrong. You can do it. You can get as you'll do it. Or you're building yours with IBA line. You can do it, but you need the skill, the time, and also the money to do it. Yeah. Right, Chris. Been on for blimey 21 minutes. I'm looking forward to Newark. You're looking forward to Newark. The weather forecast.
It's not too bad. I say I'm going to take the gazebo so that I can keep it undercover. So whatever it does. You know, I might be sitting there in a lonely tent with the rain dripping off the edges, but I don't know. Or it might be a glorious sunny day. Anywhere in between those two.
I'll bring you some. I haven't actually done over.
Lovely. I haven't done a formal kit car show for about 5 or 6 years now. So it will be interesting to see how the mood feels when I get back there again.
Yeah, Malvern. I was at Malvern, and that was absolutely brilliant. It was a glorious day. Well, I mean, the club stands were absolutely buzzing. It was the first time at Malvern. The hall indoors on the Saturday was absolutely heaving. Half the time, we couldn't even get near the cars. I mean, slightly smaller venue than Stoneland, slightly smaller than Newark. But the outdoor stands as well, because the weather was so good, absolutely packed. And I think because it was one of the first shows as well, it was everyone, great day, right, that's it, we're going. And of course, it as Newark is, if you arrive in a kit car, it's free to get in. So if you're over that way, want something to do, go in, it's free.
Come in and sell it. Yeah.
Say hello to people and looking forward to it. Right, Chris, I'll let you go. I'll let you go back to building, because I know you probably want to finish off a few more bits before Newark.
I'm still scoring bits of dash on. Yeah, I was 5 minutes before we started.
Right. Okay, well, great catching up with you again, Chris. See you at Newark.
Yes.
Be seeing
you there.
Be seeing
you. I'll see you there.